Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. If you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So let's get straight to it.
I'm finna show you how these low vibrating entities can body hop. I need y'all to pay very close attention. As y'all see, this shadow or this entity jumps into his body and he even reacts. Yeah, y'all know how like out of nowhere y'all just feel very strange? Or you just feel a wave of low vibrating energy? Let's look at this once again. Do y'all see that? He even reacts off of it. This is the exact reason why you have to stay prayed up. You have to have spiritual protection. Because these entities is out here whether you want to believe it or not. Once again, look at that. And y'all should already know by now that we're constantly under spiritual warfare. And we also know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So if you have any sudden mood changes, you might just got body hopped. And just because you can't see it with your physical eyes, that don't mean that it don't exist. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about these entities body hopping in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned.
Yo, that's the first time I've ever seen an entity do a body hop. Bro, that was spooky, man.
A massive spacecraft in Greenland discovered shortly after World War II that they believe could be responsible for the last ice age. I've searched high and low, haven't been able to figure out who this gentleman actually is. Whether he's a professor, just a speaker on UFOs, or what. If you know, please inform me. I'd like to do a little more digging on this subject. But he has some mind-blowing information. He basically claims that there's a massive UFO in Greenland that has just been exposed due to the melting ice caps. He then goes on to explain that this UFO was discovered in 1947 when a B-52 bomber actually goes down due to its resonant field. It apparently shuts all electronics down as you enter this 200-mile radius.
Now, how many of you know about the object in Greenland? A couple of you, okay. Well, for those of you that don't know, there is a spacecraft that has melted out of the ice in Greenland. As you know, the North Pole has melted completely. You can go from London to Moscow or to Russia by going over the North Pole now. All the ice cap is gone. The last place that has ice on it was Greenland. Greenland had a 18,000-foot ice cap on it. Well, the spacecraft that is anchored in the center of Greenland created the last ice age 50,000 years ago. It's a weather machine. It's 55 miles wide, 300 miles long, and 2 miles high. The people that lived in it were called the Mois. If you draw a straight line from the spacecraft to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., through the Yucatan Peninsula Great Pyramid at Mitsubishi, it ends up on Easter Island where the Mois have been dug out of this dirt. The heads on Easter Island, well, 2 years ago they finally went ahead and they excavated, and they're all 65 to 85 foot people, full body carvings. And these were the people that lived in the spacecraft that was uncovered that's melting out of the ice in Greenland. So when you think we've been alone, these people have been up there for 50,000 years. The spacecraft is still active after 50,000 years. It has a 200-mile dampening field where no electrons can flow into it. In 1947, a B-52 bomber flew into that pattern, into the dampening field, when trying to fly between Maine and London. As a result of that, they lost power and crashed in Greenland. As they sent in rescue B-52 bombers to rescue them, they hit that same dampening field, but they veered off. They just ricocheted off of it. And by testing, trying to get to these guys, they were able to ring a circumference and find out that there was an object 200 miles to the center of this field. On the southwest corner of Greenland, there is a small community. It's the only community on the island of Greenland. That community is a military post, CIA, that uses a compressed air generator to operate diesel engines to run a Caterpillar to run back and forth the 200 miles from the base to the object in Greenland. A lot of our technology comes from the reverse engineering out of the spacecraft. It is still functional and is still in operation. So it's pretty important what this thing is. All the nations worldwide are up there with the United Nations, and they're all acting, working together. Point is that we're not alone out here in this universe.
The only thing that doesn't make sense about his claim is B-52 bombers had their maiden flight in 1952. At the time of the accident, 1947, there were no B-52 bombers, but that would be an easy mistake to make. I did a little digging, and there was a wreck in 1947 of a B-29 bomber called the Keybird. With growing tensions in U.S.-Soviet relations at the time, the B-29 surveillance plane explored the possibility of attacking Soviet targets via Great Circle routes over the North Pole as a part of Project Nanook. Long story short, during one of its missions in 1947, it was at 24,000 feet when it ran into a blizzard and lost control of all steering. They ended up landing in northwest Greenland on a frozen lake. But nobody really knew why they lost steering control. They'd send search and rescue teams, and it took 3 days to get to the men. All the crew survived. So essentially, anything that got within a 200-mile radius of this UFO, which was 2 miles tall, 55 miles wide, and 300 miles long. What's more baffling is they claimed that the UFO is still active today, and that it possibly was responsible for the world's ice age. They believe the craft to be able to control weather anomalies, and that it's over 50,000 years old. What's more is his claim is that they came to the conclusion that the craft was operated by a group of extraterrestrials known as the Mois. They were a sort of tribal extraterrestrial. He also goes on to claim that if you draw a straight line from the craft to the Washington Monument through the Yucatan Peninsula, where there are pyramids, to Easter Island, it's actually a perfect straight line, and that he believes that the statues at Easter Island, which, if you didn't know, they had dug up and found out that they're 65 to 80 feet tall statues, and that these statues actually represent the Moise people. A pretty mind-blowing claim. A craft that is of that size can essentially control weather and is still active 50,000 years later. And after doing some more research, it's in about the same area as the base that we have there now. It's now known as Pituffik Space Base. It's America's northernmost Space Force base used today. The only place on Earth where 4 active glaciers join together. The base is home to a substantial portion of a global network of missile warning sensors of Space Delta IV and space surveillance and space control sensors of Space Delta II, providing space awareness and advanced missile detection capabilities to North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, the United States Space Force, and joint partners. He then goes on to say that since we discovered it in the 40s and 50s, we have been reverse engineering this craft, and a lot of our technology today actually comes from it. And I gotta say, they've done well at keeping this one under wraps, because this is the first I've heard anything like this. And I've been researching, making content about this for over 2 or 3 years now. Many also believe this is the reason that they made Camp Century, or Project Iceworm, a top-secret United States Army program during the Cold War, which aimed to build a network of mobile nuclear missile launch sites under the Greenland ice sheet. The end goal was to install a vast network of nuclear missile launch sites that could survive a first strike. This was according to documents declassified in '96, so they really never actually reached an agreement with the Danish government. This, coupled with the fact that they had a hard time actually keeping the tunnels from melting and caving in throughout the project. The official purpose of Camp Century, as explained by the United States Department of Defense to Danish officials in 1960, was to test various construction techniques under Arctic conditions, explore practical problems with a semi-mobile nuclear reactor, as well as supporting scientific experiments on the ice cap. A total of 21 trenches were cut and covered with arched roofs within the prefabricated buildings that were erected. With a total of 3,000 meters or 1.9 miles, these tunnels also contained a hospital, a shop, a theater, and a church. The total number of inhabitants was approximately 200. From 1960 until 63, the electric supply was provided by the world's first mobile nuclear reactor, designated and designed by Alco for the U.S. Army. They also claim one of the reasons they shut it down was the actual heat produced by people living underground in the ice. At least that's what they claim. But maybe, just maybe, they actually dug the tunnel to the said craft. Let me know what you think in the comments. Pretty mind-blowing stuff, and this is just scratching the surface. It's very fascinating, to say the least. Do me a solid, y'all. Let me know in the comments what you've heard about this, or if you have any new information. Tag me in the link. Also, let me know what y'all think about my new production style. I'm adding a little flavor or a little flair to my videos. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was worth the wait. And continue watching. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. It really helps my overall at the end of the day. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you had a good Valentine's Day as well. Stay in the love, stay in the light, be kind to others. I am out.
Yo, shout outs to Night God 333. That was some mind breaking info right there. I'm still trying to put my brain around a craft being 55 miles wide, 2 miles high, 300 miles long.
This video of Taylor Swift is going viral of her shaking her head when Ice Spice thanks God in her speech. Now, given the context of what she's saying, she might have just been agreeing with her, and you'll see what I mean when I show you the clip in a second. But something you need to realize is that God can be anything, especially when Ice Spice was showing us those demonic hand gestures at the Super Bowl and rocking an inverted cross. But just check this clip out.
I just want to thank my Munchkins. I want to thank my manager, James. I want to thank my producer, Ryan, for making the best music they can. Shout out all the other nominees in this category. I want to thank my label, 10K and Capital, for always supporting me. And of course, God. Without God, none of this would be possible. Shout out the Bronx. Thank you guys, I love you so much.
These Egyptian gods never existed. They symbolize the sun in its 4 different states. Horus represents the sun when it's rising in the spring or 6 a.m. in the morning. This is why we say horizon. Horus is rising. Horus is the sun. This is why we say hours. Where is Horus? What hour is it? Ra is the sun when it's the most powerful, 12 noon or the summertime. Ra, radiate, powerful. This is why he has a sun on top of his head, the most high sun. Set, September. This is when the sun starts to set and become autumn. This is why we say sunset comes from the Egyptian god Set, the sun. Horus and Set is Jesus and Satan, which is the sun and Saturn. The sun rules the day, Saturn rules the winter or nighttime. The sun's evil brother is Saturn because Saturn is always opposite the sun. This is why Saturn is Satan, because Saturn rules the nighttime, which is associated with darkness, death, evil. Jesus symbolizes the sun. This is why he's called the risen savior, the light of the world. Has 12 disciples, the 12 zodiac signs, 4 gospels for the 4 seasons.
Yeah, Revival of Wisdom be breaking it down. I think it's interesting, you know, the play off of words with Horus and hours. Where is Horus? What hour is it? Or how the clock look like it's broken down into the zodiac signs. It's crazy.
Multiple people were shot during the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Amidst the confetti and cheers near Union Station, ring out. 1 life is lost, 10 others hang in the balance. Their conditions ranging from critical to hopeful. Among the crowd, Chiefs star Travis Kelce, who moments before was basking in victory, now stands in the shadow of a tragedy. Authorities spring into action, detaining 2 as the city's heart beats between triumph and tragedy. This incident has sparked a nationwide conversation on safety and unity in times of celebration.
Rest in peace. Our condolences go to the family of the victim who lost their lives in this tragedy. And our prayers are with those who were injured. It sounded like they definitely had a vibe, you know? Kansas City doing their things. You know, my prayers to you, Kansas City Chief fans. I hope y'all get over this traumatic situation. Peace and love to your city. But yeah, man, it's crazy.
begin today with that breaking news out of Missouri. At least one person was killed and more than 20 others injured in a shooting to celebrate the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl win.
New video shows the chaos after a group tackled the man believed to be one of the gunmen.
We tackled him.
We tackled him. Yeah.
When we tackled him, the gun came out.
And you heard one of the men say the gun came out when the group tackled the suspect. And look at the woman in the white shirt. You can see that her picked up what appears to be a gun. Police say 3 people have been detained. Again, 1 person was shot and killed, and at least 21 other people were shot. Multiple children are in the hospital with gunshot wounds. Authorities just wrapped up a press conference, and Eyewitness News reporter Christian Cordero joins us now live in the studio with the very latest. Christian.
David, the purpose of that press conference was mostly to upgrade the number of people shot and to give a little bit more context on what happened. More questions than answers right now, though, but we do know that the White House has reached out offering Kansas City federal assistance. Federal law enforcement agencies were already on the ground for the celebration. It started with a parade and ended with paramedics, sirens on, leaving Kansas City's Union Station. As the home team's Super Bowl rally wrapped up, gunfire started.
All of a sudden, people started crushing forward. Everybody started running. There was screaming. We didn't know what was happening, but this day and age, when people run, you run.
Minutes ago, Kansas City, Missouri Police Chief Stacey Graves shared an update. 1 person is dead and dozens are injured, including 22 gunshot wound victims. Police detained 3 people total, now all under investigation.
Our investigators are working with all of the surviving victims to connect them with loved ones. We are also working to identify our deceased victim so we can notify their family as soon as possible.
The Chiefs Victory Parade drew fans in masses, lining the streets and the parks adjacent to Union Station. Officials say 600 Kansas City police officers, plus another 250 from outside agencies, were there to protect the crowd. Mayor Quinton Lucas thanked those who ran towards the shooters.
We went out today, like everyone in Kansas City, looking to have a celebration. That celebration was marred by a shooting today. And we recognize that there are some who are injured. We are praying for the safety of everyone.
As is star quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who offered his prayers on X. The team had exited the stage before the shots started and left the area safely. The Kansas City Chiefs released a statement saying the team is saddened by the senseless act of violence, adding their hearts go out to the victims, their families, and all of Kansas City. Officials are clearly early in their investigation, so it will take some time to learn who's responsible and why. David.
Real talk. And that video right there looked like one of the people who were arrested was maybe the same person in a previous video I just showed. Take a look. Let me know in the comments down below if you spot it.
So as most of you know, today was Kansas City's Super Bowl parade. It started out as a really great time with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce being there. And it really was amazing to see how many people were in attendance. But unfortunately, it has been reported that towards the end of the parade, there was a shooting. As of 10 minutes ago, which I checked, which was 4:45 p.m. Eastern time, there are 14 people injured and 1 person has unfortunately passed away. There are also allegedly 2 suspects in custody right now. There's actual footage of a suspect running away, and then a man in the crowd runs after him and tackles him to the ground. There was also a reporter who was live at the time, and you could see in his face the confusion of like what's going on. You could see people kind of moving around in the footage, and then when he notices the gunshots, he's like, okay, there's something going on here. More details will probably come out in the next couple of hours, so we'll keep an eye out on that. And it's unfortunate that in America, any concert, event, grocery store, mall, movie theater that we go to, we constantly have to be scared of this kind of thing happening.
See, you gotta be quick. You see that right there? That's exactly what I was talking about. See what I'm saying? It's the React Files. You know, we gotta get all the information. And it's right there on the spot in real time.
Yeah.
When we tackled him, the gun came out. We're good. Who's the other guy? Back up. Hey, I got the gun. Hey, I got the gun. You filming this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was the other guy that helped me?
I don't know. I think he took off already.
Yeah, that was one of the other guys who got arrested. Well, like they was in two totally different places. That's crazy. Next question, were they friends or were they enemies? But shout outs to law enforcement in Kansas City. Yo, they handled it quick. They were efficient. Man, they got the shooters. And shout out to the fans. The fans were tackling them. Like, yo, that's what it is when the city stick together. Especially at their championship. Once again, shout outs to Kansas City.
Casey, has it sunk in yet what your husband decided to do and what you decided to do?
Oh, not really. Not yet. I think we just did what, like fight or flight type of deal. And we just did what we felt we needed to do in that moment.
You hear people saying, tackle him, right? You're just trying to get out of there. Just take us through the moment. What did you, you hear that, you turn, where is the guy?
I turn, I see a flash, and I think to myself, I hope that's him. There was really I didn't see him coming. I think all I recall is barely seeing the guy, and I couldn't believe I caught him. And thinking when I got up, I was just thinking, man, I sure hope that's him. So, because there was just so much going on.
As a hero, ain't no telling what else could have happened down the road or minutes later from fleeing the scene. Yo, took a lot of courage.
Everybody seems to be so distracted by the shooting at the Kansas City parade today, but did you know that the Senate passed a bill yesterday for $95.3 billion to be sent to Ukraine and Israel as an aid package? A bill which lies in the House's hands, which will officially become approved this week. That's kind of like the $100 billion that Biden himself pledged to give to Israel and Ukraine, huh? Just for the Republicans to hide in the shadows and not officially approve it. But now here we are with majority of the Republicans actually approving this bill. Our country's leaders are like walking contradictions. And I question if you're even questioning their motives at this point, especially coming from the fact that this is your tax-paying money. And then I question why we're even willing to pay taxes in the first place, especially when our student loans can't even be paid off. But hey, if this doesn't confirm a war coming with China, I don't know what does. Of course, being backed by President Biden once again, that contains a fresh round of aid for Ukraine and funds for Israel and Taiwan. I thought Xi Jinping and Biden were cool now. It's insane really when you research into matters for yourself, because then you'll be able to find something called the Pegasus system. Something that just so happens to be owned by Israel themselves. Something that's capable of tracking personal data. Something that just so happened to be on the United States Red Alert status. And ironically, they stated on their website that they openly do it to politicians around the world. Now, I'm not going to state which politicians specifically, but I'm sure we could put the puzzle pieces together at this point, especially considering the fact that Biden himself has not demanded a ceasefire in Gaza just yet. Especially when you just so happen to notice the bombings in areas where 1.5 million Palestinians just happen to be sheltering at this very moment. But hey, why don't we pick sides and support a genocide more, right? Especially when both political parties in themselves are owned by the same fucking individuals anyway. Oh, we didn't know that one though, huh? So patriotic for a country's leaders that's allowed over 10 million undocumented migrants from 25 different nations to enter your country legally, with only 5% of those individuals being families, and the rest military-aged men. But this is the most ignorant part of this entire bill being passed, right? There's $9 billion in humanitarian assistance going to Gaza. What the fuck? I hope people realize by now that war in itself is a facade. I thought that was proven in itself when Henry Ford manufactured over 20,000 army militia trucks that might or might not have went to Germany. Not officially laying claim to anything being true, but you can Google that for yourself. Especially from the firearms that just so happen to be provided by Smith & Wesson. That in itself should really make you think. But see, we as humanity naturally just don't question anything, which is the primary reason as to why so many unworldly events don't happen to so many of us. I can't state how many paranormal experiences or UFO experiences I have had. And I'll save that for another video if anybody's actually thoroughly curious. Because I lived in Colorado, I've been to Denver, I've been to Mount Shasta, I've been to California, I've been to Oregon, I've been to many, many places. And I've seen many, many terrifying fucking things, okay? So I can vouch that there's a lot of things that exist in our reality that might or might not change your mind. Just know that humanity is not so superior, okay? But what we should be doing is unifying ourselves because we all kind of fucking bleed the same anyway. And when you look at how many casualties just so happen to be accumulated in Gaza compared to how many were in Israel, it might change your mind as well. Especially considering the fact that over 60,000 people have been injured in Gaza alone, okay? With over 40,000 more being dead. There were 1,200 people injured in Israel. From only 1,400 missiles that just so happened to hit because a $1.5 billion Iron Dome was provided by Israel. But it makes you question where Hamas even accumulated that type of weaponry to begin with. Especially considering the fact that Iran themselves just so happens to fund Hamas. And didn't the United States and Iran do a prisoner swap that could have happened many, many years ago, just a couple months ago? And then when you just so happen to go to Twitter and see certain celebrities talking about the scenario, you might see things like this. When are we going to fix these gun laws? How many more people have to die to say enough is enough? Pretty ironic that the movie Civil War is coming out later this year, isn't it? Pretty ironic that the plot might or might not take place in Texas. I'm just saying, open your eyes, and the truth might be revealed to you. But as for human rights, all I can say is learn how to be self-sustainable in these moments of time, okay? And if you rely on the central government for every supposed necessity, please break that cycle. Because whether or not you want to, it's going to be broken anyway. We're in the age of Aquarius, people. A lot of things are coming to light, okay? And regardless of your spiritual beliefs, this is the age of conscious awakening. This is the age of leaving behind things that don't work for us anymore. Toxicity, authority. We have so many greedy little intentions, and we judge each other so strongly. When in actuality, we all bleed the same like I stated earlier in this video. And we all look the same under this physical embodiment of a parasite of which we call skin. Humanity can be great again, but only if we allow a change to occur. And the only way that a difference will actually be made is if we stand up and believe in our voices. I'm just saying, you could be remembered, or you could be forgotten. And regardless of what humanity thinks, this earth can shake us off like fleas.
I feel like at the end I heard the lady on the cell phone say the FBI was there. And the feds got there quick.
All that happened there on stage, and it's not even 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, guys.
I rewound it to where it happens.
87 would be the wild card. I mean, you heard Brett Beach mention it. You heard Mark Donovan mention it. Hey, we're going to get to him in just a bit, but we've got to talk and give props to a few people before the cage bird sings.
Yes. So I think cage tiger. He said he was a cage tiger pacing back there. We've got crowds are dispersing.
I think they're trying to. A lot of them.
And it looks like they're running.
Well, yeah, we might have a situation here we're trying to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on what's happening out in the crowd here at Union Station. We'll be sure to let you know the crowds are dispersing rather quickly, and it looks a little different than in normal years.
Yeah, we got a lot of people running a lot of
We're not sure if they're rushing to their vehicles or to the shuttles or if there is some sort of disturbance, but we'll definitely let you know. I can see people jumping the fence right now, and I'm not sure exactly where it is they are going to.
There has been a heavy police presence here all day, and we certainly thank those law enforcement officers who are on the scene trying to keep people safe, but at this point we don't know if there is a safety concern, quite possible. Certainly thank those law enforcement officers who are on the scene trying to keep people safe, but at this point we don't know if there is a safety concern, quite possible. Some people in the crowd are telling us to get down.
Yeah, they're moving everybody indoors here as well.
Okay, folks are moving indoors. We're going to try to figure out exactly what is taking place here, but you can see some folks kind of moving with pace right now.
And at this point, I don't know if we have crews back in the station who maybe want to take over for the audio, so we can duck down if that is a concern for safety out here. All right, we're working on that.
So usually what happens after this, there is a private ceremony inside Union Station for several of the players.
Yo, could you imagine having to be in that situation at a parade and you're just talking on the news and stuff. And I gotta ask them to take over the show so they could dub.
During this tragic event, there is more coming to light. There is a tweet made by this man just 2 days ago before all of this happened. Now, nothing is confirmed if they have anything to do with it, but KCPD did say that they are aware of the tweet and they are looking into it. Lisa Lopez is the one who passed away. Cake News also posted that the Children's Mercy in Kansas City said they treated 12 patients, 11 of them being children, 6 to 15 years old. 9 of the 12 have been pew-pewed. And it is confirmed that the pew-pew that was found did belong to this man who was tackled by the few heroes that stopped him. And in this video, right where it's circled, this woman picks up the pew-pew that was dropped from the man that they tackled.
Remember when Joe Buck predicted a bad story would come out of Super Bowl 58 and he said it wouldn't stay in Vegas? Remember that? Well, look what happened in KC today. And also pay attention to the numbers. 3 detained, 22 wounded. 322. If you know, you know. There's a lot of numbers surrounding this whole entire thing. Again, prayers to everybody affected. But there's a lot of numbers surrounding this thing with 3. Because Mahomes, remember at the Super Bowl, he passed for 333 yards with 3 seconds left in overtime, won the game, and address Al Davis Way, 3333 Al Davis Way. And this was 3 days after the superb Owl Bowl. So you all can put 2 and 2 together with that. And again, prayers to anyone affected.
Moving your daughter out to California when you all went, or did you have 2 trips to California?
My daughter doesn't live in California.
Did she ever live in California?
I'm not discussing to you the location of my child.
Paid for on that trip?
I gave him much less cash that time, probably $400 or $500, and then I paid for a bunch of stuff. I think we did 2 different wine tours that you do, which are pretty expensive. I think I bought him, he likes wine. I don't really like wine, to be honest with you. I like Grey Goose. I bought him a bottle of wine while we were there, and the sippings that you do. I can't remember how many, like 4 or 5 different places you go. I remember we went to this place that they do pairings. That was the most expensive thing that I think that we did while we were there. So they would pair, champagne, chocolate, and caviar. It was a 3, and it was like 3 different things: Sweden, Russia, someplace else. I'll make that up. But that was the most expensive thing we did that trip, and I paid for that.
You pay cash
for us doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that trip did not cost me a lot of money. I might have took like $750 in cash on me because we weren't gone very long.
I'd only asked if you paid in cash. I don't even know the amounts.
When I travel, I always take cash.
And is the cash that you keep in your house, or do you keep it at the condo that you were living in?
So at that point, it wouldn't be at my house, and I'm sorry if I was not clear. The money would be wherever I laid my head. So I wouldn't leave the money at the house. So if I was unclear, no. Money's going to be where I stay.
How much did you pay for your trip to Panama?
To where?
Panama, I believe.
I didn't go to Panama.
I may have the location wrong.
I never went to Panama.
So
Mr. Wade went to Panama with his frat brother.
Oh, he went to Panama with his frat brothers. So tell me about, let's see. So I want to make sure I've got them. I've got Belize. You already covered Belize. You covered the...
So let me tell you our real trips. In October, we went on the cruise with his mom. We got back from the cruise with his mom and we went to Aruba. I consider that one trip. Second trip, New Year's Eve, we went on a cruise to the Bahamas. That's the second trip. I want to make sure I get this right. Third trip, 100% on me. I think he might have spent $200 on that entire trip. We went to Belize. That was my trip. That was, his 50th. And then Napa Valley, we went around May. I don't know the dates, but it seems to me like it was close to Mother's Day.
And those are the only trips?
So that the record is complete, I can remember one time driving to, where were we? South Carolina, and we met my sister for lunch with her man.
When was that?
I don't know, but we didn't stay the night there. But I guess people would consider that a trip if you drive somewhere and you come back. That was insane because it was like 5 hours to drive. We ate lunch and we drove right back. I can remember driving to some little town in Georgia. I don't even know where I was. I had never been there before or after. There's some boat you can get on over to, and there's like a slave thing, if that gives anyone any reference. We didn't do that. I remember doing that. I remember driving one time to Charlotte. We had lunch with one of my very close girlfriends, and again, we drove to Charlotte, met my girlfriend for lunch, and drove right back. So that's a trip. We didn't stay the night there, but I just want to be complete in my testimony. We drove someplace, had lunch, drove back. I don't remember another driving someplace distant for lunch and coming back to Charlotte to see a girlfriend, to meet my sister in South Carolina. We went by ourselves when I told you about that remote place in Georgia. We could have driven someplace else and had lunch and came back, but that's all that comes to my recollection right now. There could have been another place we drove and had lunch. My security team was very clear to me. I'm not to be out and about in Atlanta without them. And so for me to do something just very normal that a normal person would get to do if they weren't prosecuting this case, I got to drive 4 hours to do it.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Your security detail, did they take you to and from your house?
So I haven't been able to enjoy my home.
Condo, I'm sorry.
And March.
Where you lay your head? Did they take you to and from where you lay your head?
99% of the time.
Would they take Mr. Wade to and from wherever you laid your head?
That has never in the history of ever happened. Ever, okay?
Your security team has never taken him?
From my house? That's a lie.
I'm asking if they've ever taken him anywhere.
And I'm telling you that that's never happened.
So your security team has never taken Mr. Wade
My security team has never taken Mr. Wade from any place where I have lived and brought him here. Never. Not once. Not ever.
Have they ever taken the two of you together?
To where?
Anywhere.
We've left this building and gone to lunch, but I go to lunch so rarely that is a very rare occasion, I am sure. And let me be clear, it wouldn't just be Mr. Wade. So I'm sure my security team has taken me to lunch. Probably been a time I've left here 7 o'clock, gone to get something to eat. And I don't even know that they would have taken him or if he would have driven himself, but they've taken me to do that. But we're talking very few, very far in between. Most days I don't even eat lunch. And when I do, it's because my assistant has heated up some bag, something, and I eat through meetings and eat in my office. It's not a practice of mine to go to lunch.
During the time period that you were dating, would your security team ever take you two together anywhere?
No.
Never?
If there was a lunch that occurred that I just described, if there was a meal that occurred that I just described, anything outside of that, and it needs to be very clear, not often, once, twice, because I want to be over-inclusive, I'm saying once or twice. I'm not certain that it happened, but I'd rather be over-inclusive with you.
So your office objected to us getting Delta records for flights that you may have taken with Mr. Wade.
No, look. I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
So my question was, do you have any problem?
I object to getting any personal records of mine.
We're not dealing with privilege through a witness.
And I'm not, no, I'm not dealing with privilege. What we had offered to put them in camera for the court to review, and I just want to know if she has any
problem. That's not something you deal with a witness.
Okay, you have to file as part of your job something called an income and financial disclosure report, correct?
That's correct.
And you filed your first one, so you filed two to date, is that right?
Is it 2 or 3? I probably would have filed 21, 22, and maybe I haven't filed 23 yet, because isn't it due like June of the next year?
April, I believe. So you filed, let's see, you filed your first one, it looks like April 15th, 2022, and your second one, April 17th, 2023. Does that sound familiar?
That I don't remember the dates, but you're an officer of the court. I'm gonna hope you're telling the truth now.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Thank you. I already gave the state a copy, Exhibits 20 and 21, if you take a look at those. They were part of the surprise efforts.
Can somebody bring me some? Yeah. Guys are getting a little old. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Those are the ones that you filed.
This looks like me for sure. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Judge, we'd move to admit 20 and 21.
I think you need to delineate which one's which
20
one's which.
is 2021, so it accounts for the time period, Your Honor, January the 1st, 21 through December the 31st, 2021. That is Defendant's Exhibit 20. Defendant's Exhibit 2021, it accounts for the time period, January the 1st, 2022 through December the 1st of 2022.
All right. Any objection to Exhibits 20 and 21?
Nope.
No.
Sorry.
From other counsel? Admitted without objection.
Yeah. When did your personal relationship with Mr. Wade end?
Our personal relationship ended in this year. So let's be very clear so that we don't mix words. I don't want to mix words in here. Mr. Wade is my friend right now. Mr. Wade, I would say, has been my friend since 2020. I think he started out as like a mentor and a professional colleague. He became my friend and somebody that I really respected. I feel very indebted to Mr. Wade for taking on the task of this job. And he is certainly my friend and one of the people that I respect the most. So if you ask about a personal relationship, I consider myself to have a personal relationship right now, Mr. Wade. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Anna Cross. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Mr. Abadi. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Andrew Evans.
Okay, let me just clarify that.
I have a personal relationship with him as we speak right now. I don't think that's what you're asking. I think that's what you're asking.
When did your romantic relationship with Mr. Wade end? Did it end?
Me and Mr. Wade, we are good friends. My respect for him has grown over these 7 weeks of attacks. We are very good friends. I think, but for these attacks, it would have been a friendship that, as life goes, you would have stopped having. I think that you have cemented that we'll be friends to the day we die.
Let's.
Could we just have an answer to the question?
I can handle this, Seda. Let's have it.
She asked about a personal relationship.
She asked when the romantic relationship ended. That's the question.
It's sometime in, I'd say late summer of 2023. So I don't believe me in, because this is what you're really asking about. This is the salaciousness of all of this, right?
No, I'm just asking about your romantic relationship, when you stopped dating.
I think that me and Mr. Wade, so he's a man, he probably would say June or July. I would say we had a tough conversation in August. And so that men in relationships at the end of physical intimacy, women in relationships when that tough conversation takes place.
And where, when did he come to, I guess, the condo? I'm not sure what you called it, condo apartment. Would he come and stay at that condo or visit you there? I'm sorry, visit you there.
What condo, what apartment? I want to be clear.
So not your house. I know you classified one as house and one as condo, so I'm trying to use those terms.
So but there's been more see, what you don't understand is because of this case, I got to move. And so I
Ms. Merchant, if you could ask a more precise question.
Yes, please, give me the time period.
Mr. Wade visits you at the place you laid your head.
When?
Has he ever visited you at the place you laid your head?
So let's be clear, because you lied in this. Let me tell you which one you lied in. Right here. I think you lied right here. No. This is the truth, Judge. And it is a lie. It is a lie.
Ms. Willis? Mr. Sena, thank you. We're going to take 5 minutes. Thanks. Be back in 5.
May I go to the bathroom?
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.